Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. JC, Esley, we are J&E Eclectics! We're J&E Eclectics, we're in the shop today. We are filming some pretty awesome content for you. What we're going to do right now is continue on with our series of J&E Sublimate everything.
Yes sir.
We're going to sublimate my face. No, we are going to sublimate another hat. So you may have seen our other video, which we'll link to, where we first unboxed this printer, the Epson F570 sublimation printer, and tested out on a couple of 3D puffed hats we already had done for a client. There were just some extra hats. And now what we're gonna do is knock out custom J&E logo with our establishment quarantine, get up on the hat, and then you'll see the cool backgrounds with it all on those hats. So stick around. So we're working on our Racoma today, our Racoma MT1502, but we're only knocking out one hat right now, which now that I think about it, we could have hooped two hats, but we're only doing one hat for right now. So we'll hoop that on and get things going. So what you're gonna wanna see is on our monitor here, our little handy dandy screen. Since we have the design already on the thumb drive, or no? Yes, perfect. We're actually gonna go in, make sure that it's not locked. We're gonna change our design set. Come down here to what hoop we're on. It does show a hat, but don't let that fool you. It's an F. We're gonna click on the cap. And then when I hit OK, you'll see the machine. We'll move the axis and get everything set up. There we go. So we'll go into File, make sure we're on our thumb drive. There, now our design is loaded up. You can see that it already fits in nice and neat. So what I would want to do now is hoop the hat and actually measure that the hat is going to stay on. So let me grab the cap. Hollywood Special Effects, already hooped. And this again, this is a structured hat. So it is a 6-panel hat, but it's a little harder up front, meaning that it is structured, it does have structure. So we don't have backing on the inside because it's not necessary. But since we're going to do 3D puff on only part of this design, you'll see we're actually going to have this set up to manual. We're going to run the small lettering establishment quarantine across the bottom. Then we'll come back to the cap, add the 3D foam, or add that foam piece rather, on the front, then go through with the 3D stitching, or 3D puff, and then leave that foam on for the sublimation. So we'll come back to the computer. We're gonna pull up our digitizing software. We use Hatch 2. There we go. All right, so you can see here, in order, it says it's going to start number 1 with number 4 color, or whatever you have it actually numbered on your machine. So it's going to start and stitch quarantine first. Then number 2 is showing white. Silky white will be the established in. And then lime drop green for the actual logo here. Now that's the colors that it's set up for because the colors it's designed in Stitch, or in Hatch rather. But what we're actually going to run this as is keep the gold down here and white for established in, but we're also going to run white on J&E because that's what we're going to sublimate. What we're going to do now is I'm going to hold down that needle and I'm going to do the heart stitch out because I want to make sure that we don't hit the metal frame on our hoop here and that our design fits completely inside the hat. So it's close to that metal frame, but it's not hitting it. And it's not going too high up on the cap either, so that looks good. And since it didn't hit anything, it came right back to center. Sometimes what can happen if you see this while you guys are embroidering yourselves, if you embroider, if the hat catches on anything or it's too tight, too far down, it may go an error, and then instead of it coming back to center, it may come back over here because something is off. Take your hat off if that happens, unhoop it, recenter everything with your actual frame set to cap, start over. Don't just hit start and stitch from there. You're gonna freak out when your design is like 3 inches to one side. Alright, so I know that machine is loud, but one thing that I want you guys to be able to see right now, this machine is about to finish. Boom, so it finished the gold, the quarantine part. And now it's waiting for us to hit start so that it can go to the next color, which is white. And then it will stop once more when it is going to do the 3D puff section. It'll stop one more time. We'll add the foam in, hit start, and then we'll be good to go. All Alright, so now that it's done, I will hit the 100 button. And be very careful not to knock this foam off because we're not done with it. The best part about 3D Puff really is the end when you get to just rip the foam off. But we're going to use this foam in the next process. So we want to try and keep that on there if we can. I'm going to remove the hat from the hat hoop carefully because this thing is bound on there pretty tight and I don't want it to just fly off and knock off my beautiful puff. There we go. Set that to the side and then we're going to go over to our Fusion IQ 360 Hottronics 360 Fusion IQ hat press and give you guys a good look. So it looks a little janky with the 3D Puff on it right now, but it's a J&E establishment quarantine. And then Esley has picked out a design to sublimate over the J&E portion. Foam trucker hat, which something like this, which already is really soft with foam in the front. I'm not sure how that's going to work with 3D Puff, because basically if you get a trucker hat and you stitch into it, it's like something that looks debossed. It's the opposite of 3D Puff. It's like the stitching is inside and the rest of the hat is puffed out, which does look pretty cool. We're going to do 3D Puff on top of this and establishing quarantine on the bottom and normal and see how that comes out. We're going to test it. We're going to test it.
Cool. Created a quick little design, nothing special, just a bunch of little colors.
Nice and easy. I'll release it.
Let's see how this looks.
Let's get that finished product.
I'm gonna rip all of it off.
All of it off at once. Oof. Oof. Oof.
All right, so I can see a few things that I didn't do while digitizing. A few things. So when you are digitizing for 3D Puff, there's a few things that you need to do, and I did it for most of them except for two areas. So if you end up seeing like this ends here and here, you are supposed to cap them. So what capping is basically putting another, I just put a small triangle. So I embroidered a small triangle here in the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see that there. What that does, it blocks the puff. Now where I didn't do it, which was here, you can see that puff. I don't know if that does it any justice, and here as well. So I missed digitizing, digitizing a end cap there and here as well. So when you are digitizing for 3D Puff, if you are doing it yourself, make sure that those caps are there. That was a miss on my end. Oh, it just burnt. Yep, it just burnt.
Well, it was on there too long.
Yeah. All right, so again, like to make the mistakes so you guys won't. All right, so ignore these sides right now. I'll go to those in a bit, but probably edit it. We could go back and forth, but the colors. It actually had a little, I'm assuming a lot more rooms for it to actually absorb. I did go down a little bit, did not line it up actually somewhere on here, but it's all right. Now, what happened here? So, I don't like to use the mat because it's long, it's heavy, so I probably need to buy a smaller one. So I decided to use parchment paper, which is not a bad idea. The problem is, instead of putting it sideways like this, so it can cover the whole heat pattern, I place it up and down, which, if you can see with the light, that's exactly where it burnt. Same thing here. So, lesson learned is make sure you are covering the entire area where the heat press is actually pressing onto, or else you are going to burn your hats.
But look how beautiful that color is. Other than the burn hat.
other than the burn hat, compared to with the 3D foam on there. So it did seem like 3D foam was holding it back from actually absorbing a lot of that ink, or gaseous ink. I'm not sure the proper term, but anyways, once we took that off, even with the second press, it took a lot of those colors in.
Oh yeah.
Now we're going on to the trucker hat, or the puff hat. So we'll see how this goes.
Yes, we're gonna run the same initial design. I'll add the foam again, same thing on that last level. And even though there's foam built into this hat, we're interested to see how this turns out.
So if Jason hasn't mentioned, this is actually the first time we 3D puff on a foam hat. So yeah, we're about to find out.
This cap is done, and since we're not keeping the foam on anymore, just gonna take that off. Oh, satisfaction. There are a few areas to clean up. But this is what we were really interested in seeing. How crazy puffed would 3D puff look on a foam trucker hat versus the lettering on the inside, which is kind of caved in, right? It's like debossed there. So we do have to do some cleanup on this. Then we're gonna sublimate that with another design. But all in all, I think pretty good. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, so we're going to find out together. But if this turns out awesome, we're going to edit this part of the video out because I was super confident the whole time. Oh, that's pretty. Alright, so I can see where the tape was and where the paper was, because one thing we didn't consider, which we should have known from, what did we sublimated a shirt before we saw the line from the thick paper. You want to have something covered the whole length of that paper. Anyway, I mean, it doesn't look bad. This is a foam trucker hat. Check that out. Check out the designs on it. Yes. Get my old trucker hat on. Oh, I might have to bling bling. All right, guys. So thank you for sticking around for this video. Another video in the series of J&E, Sublimate, or try to everything. So what we knocked out today was some 3D puff. You did see whatever hats we left on the press, not covered everywhere. It did get scorched a little bit. And whoop, whoop. There we go. We did also, with a lighter, burn a spot on this one. However, the foam trucker cap did come out pretty nice.
I'll say if it wasn't for the burns.
Yeah, if not for the burns, that one would have come out nice. This puff was raised, and we just leveled it. Gotta be pressure.
Yep.
We're gonna have to play around. We're gonna make some more hats. This is fun. So we're just testing it out.
Yep.
I wanted a cool kind of retro theme on mine. Both of them are very colorful.
What's that quick little saying that you say?
Yeah, me?
Yeah.
Hey, don't be afraid of mistakes, all right? Or failure. It's just that you're learning another way not to do something. All right, so we don't believe in mistakes here. As long as you're learning from them, it's not a mistake. But you continue to make that same error in judgment. It's a choice, still not a mistake. We don't believe in mistakes.
So, again, lessons learned. Make sure that you do leave, you do cover your whole hat with at least parchment paper when you do have it on your heat press. Don't leave your lighter on for too long on your hats. And lastly, make sure you do line up your hat, your sublimation right, or have a design that's going to cover your whole thread. So that's important too. And yeah,
I would say this. One thing that's awesome about our shop, when we're trying things out for the first time, sometimes it actually comes out perfect the first time, which is crazy. This time it didn't, but the lessons we learned, we're gonna implement right away. And the next time you see us sublimating a hat, actually I take that back. The first time we sublimated hats was when we unboxed a printer, and it did go perfect.
Yep. All right.
But this time we did them a little bit differently. We did them a different way. We tried different things, and we found out what does not work. So in the future, we know what to avoid, so that all the hats we make are coming out awesome. So if you want to win this limited edition scorched hat, this custom Esley made hat, if you guys do want some custom sublimated hats or custom embroidered hats or whatever, you know already, hit us up on Instagram, JE_Eclectics, on our website, JEeclectics.com. We will not send you scorched or doo-doo hats. They will come out amazing. And then, hit us up on the website, whatever. We'll catch them in the next video.